Words out, guns out, baby. Yeah, that just happened. So, yeah, the title, right? Stop speaking yourself into retardation. For those who are immediately offended by that, I want you to go and define the word, please. And realize that the definition is something along the lines of to slow the progress or development of something. So by saying stop speaking yourself into retardation, as I go on to explain what I mean by that, you're going to see that I'm using the word precisely. It is not meant to offend anybody. It is just the proper word that you can speak yourself into being retarded. Now, what do I mean? So, for example, on Saturday, my wife and I and the family, her parents as well, her sister and her partner, we all went out to get a family tree for this Christmas. And, you know, my wife and I, there was actually a little table that they had set up. It was pretty cool, where kids could color in their own ornaments and take them home, little wood ornaments. They could color some stuff, you know. So we're sitting there with our daughter and we're doing this. And the one mom, she gets up and she says, okay, I'm going to go and pay for the tree. And immediately my head registered this as that sounds wrong. Why does that sound so wrong? And it's because, you know, my mind, it takes words and defines every, like I try to do this consciously because I know that my subconscious, your subconscious, your body, is going to decipher reality in every way it's already experienced, if that makes sense. So like, it's not just trauma that will come back and forth. See me give a little flex there? That was so unconscious, I just had to, I was like, I gotta look good for the, I gotta look good in the video, flex the buys a bit. Oh boy. I'm gonna leave that in too, whatever. That is a beautiful sunset, man. Wow. I'd show you, but I'm driving and I don't want to do anything dangerous here. Wow. Back to the topic at hand. So the mom gets up. She says, I'm going to go pay for that tree. And, you know, I'm very aware of just myself. So I perceived that she had said this, and instead of just my subconscious taking the words and exploding them and analyzing each piece or each definition of that particular word on its own, I often do that myself. Like consciously, I'll do that. And so what I'm talking about with speaking yourself into retardation, when she says, I'm going to go and pay for the tree, well, what's the other way that we think of paying for something? Oh, you'll pay for that, right? And I thought to myself, wow, that is just not the way that I ever want to talk about me purchasing something, because I don't want to be confusing my body, because it registers the definition of every word that you've ever spoken, that you've ever heard. It registers all the different definitions because it's constantly recording all of your human experience. And so when a particular set of words is spoken, a particular set of memories is activated, and then depending on how you've chosen to fine-tune your awareness, boom, to the front of your experience will come the most relevant definition of the word. And if you want to learn more about program perceptions, you can go ahead and watch the second experience of chilling in the truck. Get into that a little more deeply. But basically, yeah, So she's saying she's gonna go pay for the truck, but she's also saying, or pay for the tree, and she's also saying she's gonna pay for the tree, which I thought was wild, and it got me thinking more about how I want to raise my daughter to perceive interactions with exchange. Because ultimately, just like how I've spoken about, you don't actually have to sacrifice for your dreams. What you're doing is trading realities. Well, it's the same thing for when you purchase something with money. What you're doing is you're trading for a new experience. You're exchanging. You're not paying for something as in you also have to suffer for that thing. And a lot of people, they might think that's so insignificant. Why does it matter if I say I'm going to pay for it or I'm going to purchase it? Why does it matter if I say I'm going to allocate some funds to procuring said material? Why do I have to not say pay? What's the big deal? The big deal is that the language that you use is directly correlated. It's a direct reflection of the perception of reality that you have. See, for myself, I'm never going to say that I'll pay for anything from that point on, because I realize that there's another meaning to the word, just like I don't say good morning to people. That's a more popular one. Because what's the other? Or your subconscious doesn't go, okay, he's saying morning as in morning. It just defines all of it based on whatever sound comes out of your mouth. Yeah. So, I don't say good morning to people. I say good day, or I say hi. How you doing? Howdy ho. It's just something else. And to get back to explaining more of how, see, like your language, it's so important. How you speak to people, of course, it completely impacts the kind of conversation that you have with somebody, for one, but it also, depending on the words that you use and the inflection of the words, you can create an entirely different meaning for the other person on the receiving end of whatever it is that you're saying. Even if you intentionally are saying it a specific way, meaning something else, like it's wild, right? How sensitive we are as human beings to the subtleties, the nuances of a moment, of a word, of our language. And everything has its own language. Every single thing has its own language or means of communication. But particularly in our world, language, as in language. If you think about it, the vocabulary of a police officer is quite different from your vocabulary, because they perceive reality through the lens of a police officer. And I'm not saying that there aren't awakened police officers or whatever, but generally they are going through a specific molding, a specific programming to become a specific thing, which requires a specific set of words to navigate the realm of being a police officer. Do you see what I'm saying? For example, right now my job is a carpenter's helper. And I guarantee you that there are things that I'm saying throughout the day that if I came on here and I talked to you about it, you would have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about unless you're in that world. Then you would get it, But if you're not in that world, oftentimes the language being used is just going to fly right over your head. So if we have the ability to perceive that a scientist, a police officer, and a carpenter are going to have different sets of language to accomplish a different set of things throughout their day, well, then it should be fairly obvious to determine that depending on how you're speaking, depending on your ability to use the terminology that relates to that specific thing, that's going to directly impact your ability to communicate with the outcome that you desire from that particular aspect of life. Like if I'm standing there and I need somebody to pass me a 2x4 and I say, pass me that big old twig. Well, depending on that job site itself, that might mean a specific kind of board. That might mean something completely different. Unless I'm communicating for what it is exactly that I need to be given back to me, well then I may not receive that. You see where I'm getting with this? So honing in on what language you are speaking with is so important, because it can either defeat you every time that you open your mouth, or you can be opening possibilities to receive so much more abundance. And I mean, just think about the people who are constantly complaining. What kind of reality are they creating every time that they complain? What kind of perception are they asking for from the rest of reality if they're constantly complaining? Because this is another way that it's going to affect you. If you're speaking, for example, just as another example, have you ever been in a conversation with somebody who swears every second word and you just want to say, shut the fuck up? Ironically, right? Just shut the fuck up. Can you please stop swearing all the time? Well, I thought they might have needed a hand, but they just closed the hood and they're moving, so. Crap, where was I? Yes, people who swear all the time. When you venture into the world of articulate speaking, and you go and watch, say, Jordan Peterson, for example, how often is it that he swears? And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with dropping an F-bomb or saying shit, whatever. I do it too. But to use that as almost a filler or a method of description or amplification of something you're trying to describe, well, it naturally takes away from being able to perfectly explain something. If you have a lexicon of descriptive words and somebody asks you to describe to them a painting, do you think that you're going to be able to better describe to them that painting if you're this person than somebody who swears all the time and who has given no effort into improving their ability to communicate? Do you think you'd be able to better describe the painting? Of course. When you're able to use words that are clearly defining the type of reality that you want to live, as if each word that you send out into existence is tilting further away from the alignment with this energy that permits articulate speech, or when it's close, when it's bang on. And that's how, personally, I navigate talking. And you can actually feel when something is coming out that it doesn't feel like it's the right thing to say. Then something else will come in its place because you're catching the energy of what's about to come out of you, and that is so key as well. Every single word. If you've ever looked at the science of cymatics, C-Y-M-A-T-I-C, if you haven't, go ahead and check that out. It clearly shows you how sound frequency vibration actually creates the structure of everything. Everything is vibrating, right? And depending on the frequency, it changes the form of the vibration. It changes the form of said thing. So what these people will do is they'll take a plate, put some sand on it or some rice or whatever, and they'll turn up the device that channels a specific frequency to the plate, and it vibrates the plate. And you'll actually watch the metals or whatever it is that they're using, it'll separate into a shape. Amazing. And thus, that shape that is being created holds that particular frequency and emanates that frequency whenever you see that symbol. And that's why there are such things as sacred symbols, because those symbols hold within them, within the very structure, a frequency that goes into creating that specific thing. So when you're speaking, each word, it does not, well, some words sound alike, sure. You know, you got there, and there. But ultimately, most words are different in how they sound, which means that in order to enunciate a word, you need to summon a different type of energy to say that word. It's just mind-blowing to think about this stuff, you know, and to really sit with this. I love it. Because when you become clear on the type of future that you want, and you start to learn about the laws of the universe, and for example, when you're speaking about, and you know, I catch myself all the time doing this, and I know that even in this video I've done it twice, I believe. When you're speaking about the things that you would desire in your future, are you speaking about them as if you already have them, and existing as if you already have them, and feeling through reality as if you already have them? Or are you speaking about it as if it's always one step away from you? That's something that's so important, is to speak about it as if you have it now. And that doesn't necessarily mean that when somebody asks you, well, how much money do you have in your bank account, then if you said you're a millionaire, you want to be a millionaire in the future, and you have to talk like you have it now. Do you have $1 million in your bank account? Your answer is going to have to be no, or else you're lying to the universe. And that's also not something that you can do if you want to manifest what you actually want. Instead of saying, no, I don't have $1 million, what you say is, I have exactly the amount that I need right now. Because that's true. You know? So instead of just saying, no, I don't have it, you say, I have exactly what I need. And so long as you're continuously following that path of creating that reality, you stay true to what energy you are casting out into reality, what hammer and chisel strike against the stone of your destiny you are sending out in terms of your speech. Reality is going to begin to construct differently around you, because you're not just blurting garbage out. You are creating a specific pathway for you to travel down. not speaking the particular language required of the match for who will be hired for that position. You need to speak that language. So in order for you to manifest the reality that you actually want, you need to be speaking the language of that reality. If you want to be loving all the time, you want to experience love all the time, then you need to be speaking love all the time. And it looks like that's about our time. I think there might be a couple seconds I gotta shave off of this. I don't remember when I started it, but